Also following another breaking story right now, the head of ISIS resurfacing, calling for recruits worldwide to attack wherever they may be. Let's discuss all of what's going on with Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois. He served in both Iraq and Afghanistan in the U.S. Air Force. Congressman, thanks very much for joining us. First of all, what do you make of this latest development? Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the leader of ISIS, now speaking out, calling for more recruits, trying to do his will to inspire people to go out there and launch terror attacks.
Well, look, it's obviously unfortunate. I would love to see him not alive anymore. But I think he should be aware of the fact that I think his days are numbered. The United States military, the Western alliance, and the Arab alliance that's fighting ISIS definitely has a target on him. And I think his days are very numbered. Again, you know, I think it's very important right now that we inflict some serious damage on ISIS, not just to kill al-Baghdadi, that's going to be important, but also to send a message to the people that are here looking at the videos of ISIS, trying to figure out, you know, and being inspired. I don't think people join ISIS because they want to be martyrs. I think they join because they're drawn in, but we need to show it that it's very likely that you're going to become a martyr. And I think we make recruitment that much more difficult.
It sort of confirms, I think it does confirm he's alive. Obviously, they've confirmed it is his voice, because there were reports over these past several weeks he may have been killed. So clearly he's alive. What about the number two? Because there are conflicting reports on the number two ISIS leader, dead or alive. Do you know?
I don't know, but I can tell you again, I think my theory and my feeling is number one and number two will be dead at some point in the future. I guarantee you they have a target on them, and we're doing our best. I think we need to be doing more. We've talked about that, but we're doing our best with what we have there in the region to find and to destroy these people. You know, you remember with Zarqawi, there was a lot of concern in Iraq in '06 that if Zarqawi was killed, he would become a martyr and in essence inspire a whole new generation of jihadists. That didn't happen. We killed Zarqawi, and in fact, his movement began to fizzle, and that's when we had the surge and the destruction of AQI. And so that's what's going to happen when we finally do get to al-Baghdadi and the number two.
I want you to stand by, Congressman, because there's another story that's developing right now. Leaders of those Gulf Arab states, they've been voicing their deep concerns about Iran to President Obama. They've all been meeting at Camp David. Almost on cue, though, 5 Iranian boats believed to belong to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. They fired shots across the bow of a cargo vessel in the Gulf. Let's get some details. Our Pentagon correspondent to this latest development, and as Barbara points out, it happens just as the president is wrapping up his so-called summit at Camp David with these Persian Gulf leaders, these Arab state leaders who have come, 4 deputies, 2 of the main leaders of those countries, 6 Arab states in the Persian Gulf. They're very worried about Iran right now, their nuclear program there. If they get a lot of money from the eased-up sanctions, they're really worried about that. What do you make of what's going on?
Well, look, it's obviously a show of force by the Iranians, and even if it is a commercial dispute that they claim, there's probably commercial disputes all the time. It doesn't mean that you send gunboats out and shoot a ship and disable it and do that. I mean, this is reminiscent of the you know, the water wars we had in the 80s. And I think it's important that the United States and its Arab allies have a very strong presence in the Gulf and make it clear that we're going to protect. I mean, this is the purpose of the United States Navy, is to protect the legitimate commercial shipping routes of interstate commerce. And this is, if there's ever a time for the Navy, and there's major times for the Navy, this is especially it. This is something we ought to keep in mind, too, when we talk about sequester on our military, the Navy's being cut. So this is very important, and it's very important that the United States show that we are going to stand with our Arab partners and stand for free enterprise in the region.
As you know, the Saudis especially, they're very worried about this proposed Iran nuclear deal. No deal yet, but they're very worried about it. And there's now some suggestions, and I heard it directly from the Saudi foreign minister, Adel al-Jubeir. He was in the Situation Room with me the other day, that they're not ruling out the possibility that if they don't like what Iran is doing on its nuclear program, they may develop their own nuclear program. And that proliferation issue is a very serious matter of concern right now. What's your analysis?
I think that's absolutely going to happen. I think there's going to be an arms race in the Middle East, the last place we want to have a lot of nuclear-armed countries. I mean, think about it. 9/11, Wolf, was about 15 years ago, 14 years ago. So the duration of this deal at the president's account is 15 years, if it actually is 100% of what he says it is. So from 9/11 to today, take that amount again, and you're almost guaranteeing that Iran will have nuclear weapons at that point. That's not that far away in international politics term. And lastly, Think of all the flood of money that's going to come into Iran that they can use to prop up Bashar al-Assad, to destabilize Lebanon and Hezbollah, and to work in Yemen and Iraq. I mean, this is what they're investing their limited resources in anyway with sanctions. Imagine when they become flush with money. And I think Saudi Arabia realizes this isn't just a bit of a dispute and a disagreement between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia and its allies. They see this as an existential threat to their country, and I think that's why they boycotted the summit.
All right, Adam Kinzinger, the congressman from Illinois, thanks very much for joining us.